Does it seem like everywhere we go, the city of Toronto is either under construction or there's some type of scandal regarding misappropriation of funds? Is it just me? Is it just you, Kori? Or are our viewers out there feeling the same thing when we look out at the Toronto landscape? Is it a post-COVID thing? Is it a pre-COVID thing? Is it just the natural order of events? I'm not sure, but today we are going to get into, I'm really excited to have this conversation, Toronto's Boondoggles and Debacles. We're going to look at our top three. If you're watching this and you think that we've missed anything, please be sure to drop in the comment section below. And if you have any personal takes or anecdotes, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. My name is Ralph Fox. I'm the co-founder and broker of record at Fox Marin. And today we have my lovely associate, ever so smiley partner in crime, the fabulous Kori Marin. Kori,
Hello.
so great to have you here.
Hello. I always laugh when you introduce me because we've just seen each other like 5 minutes ago. And then we act like it's like a rekindling.
And before we begin as well, please be sure to hit that like or subscribe button. And if you have any comments, like I said earlier, please be sure to comment because we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hello. Well, I'm looking forward to discussing our top 3 boondoggles today. This is our short list. I know the list could have been much, much longer. But I think all 3 of these particular ones affect us personally. So we have our own anecdotes to add to the podcast today. And we probably, most likely, will have to do a part 2 with our runner-up boondoggles. Sound like
and
a plan?
Maybe a part 3, 4, 5, and 6, the way things are going in Toronto lately.
Yes. So let's start with everyone's favorite topic. I think everyone in the city of Toronto is going to relate to our first selection.
And I'll give you a hint. It's the wound that never heals.
Yes. Can you guess? We're going to talk about the Metrolinx Eglinton Crosstown LRT, otherwise known as the Mega Mess.
Mega Mess. You ever hear that commercial, Mega Tank, on the radio? I don't know. It's always on the radio. Mega Tank.
I've never heard that.
Mega Mess. You've heard it before. Trust me.
I've never heard it, but I will.
It's for a printer called Mega Tank. I think it's Canon. And it's like this deep voice. And it's like, I'm in the office and I need to print some stuff up. And then it's like, Mega Tank. Anyways, today we're talking about Mega Mess.
The fact that you're still listening to the radio says so much right there.
Well, it's when my Bluetooth doesn't connect in.
Because
and
mine
you're in the car with me a lot. Anyways.
Does anyone else have that problem where your Bluetooths are competing in the car? Ours are always competing.
Oh, it's awful.
It is awful. But you know what? That's a first world problem.
We'll take it.
Let's talk about this. So for those of you who don't know, and guys, like everyone obviously knows what this is, but let me just give you a slight bit of background. 19 kilometers of east-west light rail from Mount Dennis to Kennedy, as you can see here on the map that we've posted for you. The stations are underground, and at the middle section, they're at grade. And this is led by Metrolinx and delivered with Crosslinx Transit Solutions. So the TTC is eventually going to operate the line, all right? This was originally promised for a completion date of 2020 to 2021. And the project is still unopened as of right now. This podcast we're filming end of August 2025. And there was some rumblings out there that we were going to open, not we, obviously, Metrolinx was going to open the LRT in September 2025. And guys, is that actually going to happen? The answer would be no. Okay?
No.
So what was this problem going to resolve? This was going to alleviate congestion along the Eglinton corridor. I don't know if it's done anything but created more congestion over the last 10 to 12 years, but it's supposed to alleviate congestion, provide up to 60% faster rate of transit across east-west, faster than buses. And it was supposed to support urban revitalization and improve accessibility. I believe the count for businesses that have closed since the inception of this is 140 businesses. How anyone's been operating a business along there during this shit show, hats off to you. Just even driving along that area is brutal, let alone trying to get there every day and operate a business. 100%.
My heart goes out to all those people who've been put out of business. And I know a couple who are litigating actually with Metrolinx. It's awful.
It's terrible. It's been so poorly managed. So construction began in 2011, which is actually a really long time ago now that you think about it. The contract was awarded in 2015, and the target completion, as I mentioned, was 2020. Obviously, that was missed. Then it was pushed to September 2022. That was pushed to substantial completion. Then in 2023, it was pushed again. And then Metrolinx at that point admits they have no credible schedule. And as I mentioned, in 2025, September is the opening floating date, but the reliability of this date continues to cause problems. This is very interesting. So there's CEO drama and these paychecks. So I think a lot of people are, yes, obviously frustrated by the businesses closing, the traffic congestion, how long it's taking, the mismanagement, the tax dollars, all of that 100% absolute shit show. But then you think about the CEO paychecks. So Phil Verster, he just actually resigned in December of 2024 after years and years and years of criticism and the mismanagement of this project. But his pay, like this is going to blow you away. Are you ready? His pay in 2023 was $838,000. And his pay in 2024 was almost $884,000 according to sources. $884,000. So I have a picture
Because
of his
he's done such a great job with our
amazing job.
taxpayer dollars. I think he owes us, the taxpayers, $5 million. Because this is just insanity. Like, he should have been fired a long time ago. And this type of pay for this type of failure is the poster child of what is wrong with our government and what is wrong with the idea of governments trying to manage projects like this. Like, what a colossal waste of money and resources.
Colossal waste. So now we have a new gentleman named Michael Lindsay. I put him up on the screen for you. He looks so young. He looks so young to me. He looks smiley. He looks young. He looks energized by Metrolinx. I mean, I know I would be.
Phil looks pretty beaten down and weathered. Phil looks like he's seen some tough days.
Yeah. Michael's like, I'm ready to take it on. Okay. So he was confirmed the new CEO. I think he was an interim CEO and now he's officially the CEO as of last month. So July 2025. His base salary, I mean, it's come down a lot here, people. He gets paid $687,000 base plus a 20% bonus when the project is completed. So that will round him up to about $824,000. So, Michael, you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
So, Crosslinx and Metrolinx had a little bit of a scandal and dispute. There's a $134 million claim for pandemic costs. And there was a $237 million settlement in earlier litigation between these two entities. And then there's been construction defects. So there's been track gauge issues, signaling software bugs, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of non-conformances. And what I found interesting, and actually we had dinner with clients and friends on Friday night, and we were talking about this, they're now testing the trains. And because the trains were older, like the train cars, and I think they're Bombardier, if I'm not wrong. I think that's what we were talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. The Bombardier train cars are actually 10 years old now. So because they were ordered so long ago, and they've just been sitting in storage, they're not showing well on the new trial runs. So the reliability and the availability of these trains is creating, oh my gosh, another obstacle before we actually open whenever that might be.
And the thing I find so sad is not only looking at the pay of the CEO, the previous CEO, for his absolute failure over the last, 6, 7 years, but you look at these litigations and you look at the defects in construction and you're like, well, probably the lawyers and consultants are even making more money than the actual CEO. The amount of grift and just effery that's been going on from this money train. It's unbelievable. And I bet you if somebody had some real stats out there with how much the lawyers and the consultants are making from all of this debacle, I bet you it would be mind-numbing.
And the true victims of this are A, the residents that live in the area, and B, the businesses that have 100% suffered. And yet
And
other people,
C, the taxpayers.
oh, yeah, us, the taxpayer, a given. And yet people around the project are being awarded.
The ones responsible for causing this mess. Now, in the private sector, you'd just be fired.
Yeah.
And in the army, you'd be court-martialed.
Yes. So the original contract was fixed at $9.1 billion, my friends. The total budget with contingency was $11.3 billion. The current best case estimate, okay, estimate being the key word here, is $15.3 billion, so $4 billion over, which is about a 35% cost run.
So, and that's just best case scenario, just like the best case scenario is Metrolinx will be up and operating on the LRT by September. And we all know that's not going to happen. And you just look at this and there's just this indifference to, what's $1 billion here, $1 billion there. We're going to end up being probably, when it's all said and done, I would guess, probably closer to the $6-7 billion. I mean, we'll almost be double what the original contract was by the time this is all said and done. But it's just amazing to see we're basically at a point where there is no budget and there is no start date. And it just doesn't even matter.
It doesn't seem to matter at all. I just don't understand how people are not more up in arms about the situation at this point. And then we're also losing money by not having it open, because you would imagine that the revenue coming in from ticket sales would help, put a dent in some of these costs. So the longer we delay, the less revenue we're making.
Yeah. And ending the construction would be nice too.
Oh my gosh. I mean, every time we take the Allen, we have to brace ourselves.
Oh God. Yeah.
We are and we don't live really in that little section of the city, but we definitely use that as an artery to get in and out. And you have to be mentally prepared if you're going to be approaching Eglinton in any, it's a bit better now than it was. It was terrible, terrible for years. Now it's somewhat palatable-ish. But then maybe it's just because we're all in Toronto just getting used to every east-west transit corridor, no matter if you're on foot, bike, car, subway, any streetcar just being all awful. So maybe we're just, acclimatized to brutalness. We're okay, we have to go east-west. It's going to be bad. And we just know it.
There's some great tweets here by Josh Matlow.
Yes.
From Metrolinx. So not from Metrolinx. Josh is a counselor, city councilor. And we're going to put these up on the screen here. I think they're hilarious. And he actually ran to be mayor.
Yeah, so he says, Metrolinx has never failed to find a way to fail. They announced the Eglinton LRT will be ready to hand over to the TTC to operate in September. My advice, take their promise with the largest grain of salt you can find. It's time for public inquiry. And then
I'm more in line with a public pillaring.
Yeah, seriously. Then he writes, Metrolinx LRT is 4 years delayed and over, this is old. This is this is 2024. So Metrolinx LRT is delayed by 4 years and over $1 billion over budget. But they all thought it'd be a really great idea and not tone deaf at all to boast of how clean their empty trains are. Just make an announcement when you're willing to tell us the opening date. It kind of is like that. Just tell us now when it's actually going to happen.
Just be honest with us.
And then he wrote this other hilarious one. I think you sent this to me this morning when we were prepping for this. And he says, this is so funny. Since construction, so this is written June 5th. Since construction on Metrolinx Eglinton LRT began back in 2011, we've experienced Brexit, Gangnam Style, the first photo of a black hole, 2 Trump presidencies, a pandemic, global unrest, wars, social justice movements, and now even the end of Donald and Elon's bromance.
And there you have it.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
in a nutshell. Anything else you want to add about this Eglinton
Kind of speaks
LRT?
for itself. I don't want to drone on and on too much about it. It's just a disaster, unmitigated, with no end in sight, and it really is just a black hole of taxpayers' money that one day, hopefully, will come to an end.
The last thing I just want to say about this right now, the base case for forecast for it to roll out in a phase out plan is early 2026.
We'll
And
see.
worst case is late into 2026.
So 2030 then.
Yeah, basically. Seems like everything's going to happen in 2030. It's going to be a
I think
big
so.
year.
Big year.
All right. Well, and I also want to wish this new CEO all the best of luck as well.
Seems like a nice guy by his picture.
We should do that thing where they did with Obama, where he's the beginning of his presidency at the end, and he looked like so young, and by the end he looks so done and fried and so much older. We should do that with this CEO as well.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Let's move on to one that's a little bit of a personal boondoggle for us, Ralph Fox. And this is Mirvish Village by West Bank Corporation. All right. So for those of you who don't know what this is, Mirvish Village is the revitalization project where Honest Ed's used to be on the southwest corner of Bathurst and Bloor. And I popped up a photo of the old Honest Ed's because some of our viewers probably never even went to Honest Ed. So before we even jump into what this project is, I just want to tell you a little bit about what Honest Ed's is. So this structure that sort of has like a carnival-like feel to it was originally built in 1948 by Ed Mervish. Ed is the dad, right?
Yeah, Honest Ed.
Oh yeah, David's the son, Ed's the dad. And it was originally Toronto's first discount store. It was like a byway type of thing, or what else did we have?
Before, like it was like Walmart before Walmart.
It was
like,
totally.
Yeah.
And so I even popped up a picture of what it looked like inside. And some of you watching totally shopped here at one point, or at least walked through it at some point. I know that I certainly did, not to age myself. The store started to see a rapid decline in viability by the 2000s. The store obviously couldn't compete with these big box retailers that came to Canada and online shopping, which eventually took over the big box stores as well.
I also think they kept it running while the dad was alive. And they built a huge empire, the Mervishes, especially if you're in the theater world. And they owned a lot of the abutting properties on Markham for Markham Village, which was just a interesting mishmash of retail and restaurants, good and bad, I guess. But a lot of character on that street, a lot of history for the city. And I think they actually waited for him to pass on before they actually sold it. I think he would be heartbroken because this is where it all started for the family. Anyways, I'll let you carry on, Kori, but they did put it up for sale, and it was purchased by West Bank, which is a very big developer based in Vancouver.
Yes. So Honest Ed's remained open for almost 70 years, which is pretty amazing. And West Bank, for reference, is the developer responsible for the Shangri-La. So we were personally excited about this, not because of Honest Ed's closing, but Ralph and I live very close to Bathurst and Bloor. And so for us, the idea of a developer of the stature of West Bank coming into the local area and revitalizing a corner that definitely needed an overhaul by this point, we were so happy to hear about this potential partnership for the neighborhood, bringing in more infrastructure, more retail, more services. I mean, it's certainly become more and more run down, as a lot of city communities have. So at first we were like, yes, this is so good. The same developers as Shangri-La moving into our area, amazing.
And we actually, I went to some of the early consult meetings, and I met with the principals of West Bank and the actual architect responsible. And it seemed like they had a lot of integrity in terms of what they were going to do for the neighborhood. And given that it was all purpose built, that they would be long-term holders who were really invested in the commercial redevelopment of that area, which I think would have had an amazing impact for the rest of that strip, especially moving towards Little Koreatown, which is a little run down. and definitely could have used a little bit of a tummy tuck. So we were really excited about the prospect and some of the retailers and plans and conversations that were coming out. It looked like it was all going to be really, really good. And there would be a nice mix of affordable homes as well into the neighborhood. So it seemed like it was all a win-win, and it didn't get a ton of pushback from the community, from all levels of the community. And then things kind of went
Went
in the wrong
sideways.
direction. So I'll let you walk us through the timeline of how all this broke down,
For
Cora.
sure. So, as you mentioned, Ralph, which is a really good point in terms of the developer being committed to delivering quality product when it's purpose-built rental, inclusive of the commercial side. They were going to do 900, well, they have done 900 rental units, with 366 of those considered to be affordable. I'm putting air quotes around that for anyone who's listening on Spotify. And then 10% of those being deeply affordable. And the thing that's interesting is on the Markham section, there's 24 heritage buildings that they were going to restore. So they weren't tearing down that awesome little section of Mirvish Village. They were going to restore it and make them little micro shops and restaurants and have public art and cobblestone streets and laneways through there. And then they were also going to have an environmental twist to it at all as well, with a 30% energy reduction, a LEED Platinum score, and then they were also going to call it a district energy microgrid. Okay? Timelines. 2013. Again, I
Wow.
feel like we're going way back now. 2013.
We were so young.
We were so young.
Oh my God.
I know. So young.
Think about that, like almost like 7 years before COVID. Like, oh, what a
We were
world.
so young. This is when I could work out without getting injured.
It's a whole other story, but yes.
Okay.
This is when I could sneeze without getting injured.
I know. I could pick up my dog's poo without getting injured.
Oh,
Seriously, it feels like that sometimes. Anyways, we digress. 2013, the site was acquired. 2014 to 2019, there's the public engagement, and all of their approvals and making sure everybody's on board. 2020, here's some photos. Construction begins. Yes. In construction, this is good. We were excited and we walked by it all the time watching what was happening. So their original completion date, not that this is that surprising, was 2022 to 2023, and that was completely missed. And you can kind of understand why with COVID. So for that, I will give them a pass because COVID just delayed everything everywhere. And then 2024, now they're about 12 to 16 months late, and now their liens start to pile up. And we're going to talk about their financial issues in it shortly. And then in 2025, they have their first occupancies. So that's on the Bathurst side of this project. They have Niagara College. They've got the LCBO. They do have a BMO branch, and they have one service company called the Stretch Lab. And then everything else kind of just looks like these photos here. Like I think there's some people living in the rental.
there is.
But it doesn't really feel like very many people are living there.
No.
There's like zero pulse, but we'll talk about what it actually feels like to us because we walk by it all the time. So it's these money disputes. So the estimated cost was about $350 million. And then in terms of federal money, which is important to our viewers to understand, was $200 million from CMHC to secure financing for the affordable units. And that would be a federal enterprise, CMHC.
Yep.
Then Ellis Dawn, who is the construction partner, exits the project. And they claim $8.7 million in unpaid fees alongside $25 million of total liens from trades. So now we're seeing financial stress. So Westbank, the developer, assumes construction management. They're called Icon West, and now everything starts to fall apart. Cause of the delays, obviously COVID, the contractor disputes, the liens, the loss of Ellis Dawn. Apparently, this could be an excuse, and I'll talk about something else I've noticed about this project. The heritage restoration complexity and then the environmental design challenges, according to the press, have been some of the reasons why there's been the delays. But I do feel like Westbank or Icon, was it called Icon Management?
Yep.
Or no, Icon West. I feel like they have really good public relations because you can't really find, and it's a private company, obviously, as well. You just can't find a lot of information about this. like in terms of the retailers that are committed, who was planned to come in, who's exited the project. It seems like they're getting a pass really easily for this place, in my opinion, anyways, that currently feels like a pseudo ghetto right at the corner of Bathurst and Bloor. Like nothing is happening there. Guys,
there's generally day to day, I'd say like one worker
Yep.
for the entire project. And it's been like this for about a year and a half. Like there virtually is no movement there. And in the early days of the construction, especially 2021, they were hustling. There were so many workers. They were so respectful. There wasn't a lot of noise or traffic or dust. They'd done such a great job. But then once they ran into this financial problem, basically, as you were saying, Kori, like everything has been scrubbed. You used to be able to go on their website and see all the retailers that were about to move in, gone. Nobody knows who's moving in. Nobody has moved in basically since Bank of Montreal, which has been there getting close to a year. I think they moved like last fall or in the fall. And so it's just a disaster because you have this land in these buildings and they're empty and there's nothing happening there. There's no one going onto the site. There's no one leaving the site. It's just this hulking mess, which we are really hopeful at some point gets rectified. But for our neighborhood and for the area, it's kind of a disaster.
It's a massive disaster. And I would like to add that I saw one person there the other day, actually,
Oh,
Ralph,
you
who
did?
were with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a drug user living like with a plastic tarp across his little home within the construction site. And he was in a full-on violent argument with the on-site security guard. And then, I don't know, some random woman that seemed to be involved in it as well. And I was like, great. This is the progress we're seeing here in this little area.
At 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m. in the morning. So for anyone who's listening to this that knows any more about this, I would love to know, because Ralph and I were super pumped. Like there was going to be a gym there. There was rumors of a private club coming in. There was going to be a grocery store. There was going to be all these great little restaurants and just so many services and infrastructure that this area of the city so desperately needs. And like I said, honestly, it just feels like ghettoized. It does not look like this rendering here that I'm showing you on the screen with this pool top.
No.
I'm like, I'm not feeling this flow right now. Hopefully it changes. Like I had this vision of a big developer coming and taking it over, like Tridel did for One Bloor, where they took over a condo building on which corner is that? The southwest corner of Bloor. Like maybe Tridel will come and take it over, or somebody that we can depend on. What do you think, Ralph?
I think it's just going to stay like this for a long time.
Great.
Yeah. I think it'll be another year or two. It'll be interesting to see if Metrolinx gets built first or this gets finalized. I'm not sure. At least with this one, we're not seeing billions and billions and billions of strictly taxpayers' dollars being flushed down the toilet. But there still is a Cantillon effect for the challenges it brings to the neighborhood. And I'm sure CMHC is in fairly deep on this as well, as we talked about.
We also did hunt around for some interesting perspectives on Reddit and on Twitter about this project.
Because you can't find anything online.
Exactly.
No articles.
So, I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just sharing and we all know that Reddit is not a credible source. So somebody is asking here, what is the story with Mirvish Village these days? And this person writes this back. He's like, I worked on that site for a year. This is Race DeBannon writes this. I worked on that site for a year. On top of COVID, Ellis Dawn gave up 2/3 of the way through. Developer had legal issues. Small contractor came in with no money. The place is a disaster. It was overrun with rats in all the PG levels. Mold was also a huge issue when I left 18 months ago. Surprised this is not bigger news or inquired more often about. This was meant to be rental housing on a legacy block. It's a boondoggle of
great choice of words.
Proportions. There's so much potential. Affordable housing is sitting empty during a housing crisis. And I feel like Race DeBannon did a really good job writing this, even though I really hope there's not rats all running around on the PG levels.
However, it's a year later and there is no movement. So I think this person was pretty bang on.
So there's that. And there's this one from Lansdowne at Yorkie. She writes, is anyone living in the Mirvish Village monstrosity? And
Good question.
like, is anyone, like, I sometimes watch it. I'm like, is there a person up there? Or is it just like, what's it called when people live illegally in properties?
Squatting.
Oh, yeah. Are people squatting in there? No, seriously, guys. And then there's one more. Any updates about Mirvish Village? And this is also coming from Reddit. And this is from Sadaline the House. Trying not to be judgmental, but the appearance and landscape of West Bank apartments, but not what I had imagined it would be. I live in the area, and this morning seeing open a crack pipe in the mid-morning drug use feels pretty new for me, for example. All right. Anything else that you want? Oh, I just want to add here as well that this is certainly affecting businesses again in the area because it's just looks awful and so unappealing. I don't know what is happening to this community, but somebody's got to come in and clean it up. When we see the lease up of the rentals, I think that that will tell us that there is more happening there. And then we've got to see what happens with potential business coming in.
But with one worker on site, it's going to take a while. So maybe we'll
go
have
with the 2030.
Let's go with that.
20,
Perfect.
2030 for everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do Boondoggle number 3, which is the Gardiner Expressway Rehabilitation. Okay. I'm sure everybody listening has been affected by this in some shape or form, right?
And has an opinion on this.
Definitely. So it is interesting just in terms of the age of the Gardiner. So I had to look this up. Obviously, I did not know this off the top of my head. So construction first began on the Gardiner in 1955 and it was finished in 1966. So it's technically almost 70 years old today, which is the same age as Honest Ed's was when it also saw its last days. So maybe 70 is something that we should think about when it comes to rehab or infrastructure projects. But due to the traffic, heavy congestion, salt, winters, so on and so forth, it was becoming structurally unsafe. And there was like moments where you could see like bits of the Gardiner crumbling.
Yeah, where you could see like the rebar.
Yeah.
It's
like hilarious. There was one time I was driving underneath and I was like, I felt like very like, this is risky. I'm a risk taker. I'm driving underneath the Gardiner, but I actually thought about it.
I've seen pieces fall off.
I don't know if I've seen any, but I had heard about it. So it was on top of mind. So the strategic rehabilitation plan was launched. And then in 2015, the Toronto City Council vote happened for what's called the hybrid plan. And that was to keep, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, to keep the elevated link to the DVP. We're going to talk about that in a second. And it was a very razor thin vote in City Council about what plan to go with in terms of doing a boulevard or a ramp, which I'll kind of better explain in a second, up to the DVP. So the remove option was to tear down that section. So the very east end of the Gardiner is where you could like go off to the right and then you would assimilate with Lakeshore and then head towards Leslieville and the beaches along Lakeshore. Or you go left along there and then you hook up with the DVP. That's like how we've always known this to be. So it was about this little section in here. So they could either tear that down and build a boulevard, which would have been cheaper and better for waterfront access, but it reduced the link capability for cars going up the DVP, which makes sense. And then there was the hybrid option, which was to rebuild and slightly realign the elevated highway to keep those ramps and to keep the driving capacity similar to what we have now. But this was more expensive and longer to do, which of course it would, but it preserved the commuter routes. So council voted 24 to 21 for the hybrid plan. And this is it here, just to give you a better sense. The one in the red that you can see on the screen is the hybrid plan that they went for. And there was a few hybrid approaches, but a hybrid 3 is the one we're doing. So we obviously picked the most expensive one and the longest one. So who was in charge at the time? So we got to go back again. 2015. This is like 10 years ago, guys. 10 years ago. Our mayor was John Tory back then, which also feels like a lifetime ago to me. And what? You
I
miss him,
miss
I
him.
know. Well, yeah, me too. And then we've got our lovely premier back then, I don't know, Kathleen Wynne.
I don't miss her.
I'm not really excited about the current situation either, but that's a whole other conversation. So here you can see this photo, which literally looks like it's from 30 years ago. John Tory.
It really does.
It's so weird. Like, and it says, getting Toronto moving. I don't know if we've ever followed through with that plan since this
No.
photo was taken on.
Aspirational.
Totally aspirational. And I don't think there's one artery of the city which is moving faster than when this photo was taken. Okay, so you've got this now, the lay of the land. So the hybrid approach was approved 10 years ago. The rehab plan begins between 2018 and 2020. And then in 2023, the province signs something called the City New Deal, which means in late 2023, Ontario, so the Ontario government agrees to take over ownership and the costs of the Gardiner Expressway and Don Valley Parkway from the city of Toronto. So this ends up freeing up about $1.9 billion in Toronto's budget over the next decade. I don't know where it's gone. That's what I'm looking around for. Where's the 1.9 billion? And that was supposed to go towards housing, transit, and parks. So Toronto gets the breathing room, and then Queen's Park gets the liability. Making sense so far?
And it seems like there's some rumors of a little effery going on in order to have this exchange of money happening, Cor. Maybe you could sort of talk about what you uncovered.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. I don't know if the rumors are true, so please, viewers, jump in.
Yes, but I believe it's within the realm of possibility for sure.
Mayor Olivia Chow agrees to name a stadium after Rob Ford in order to secure the provincial takeover of this highway.
Because Toronto really needs a stadium named after Rob Ford. I mean, he was the star of a Netflix documentary.
Yes.
So maybe that makes him deserving. But if you've watched that documentary, then you might sort of question whether his name deserves to be on a stadium or not. Now, this might be all rumor, but I think I've seen this in a few different interesting sources.
Well, I've actually cross-checked this because you mentioned this to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this rumor. And apparently Centennial Park Stadium being renamed the Rob Ford Stadium was a separate council decision in December of 2023, which passed 17-6 with Chow's support. And this took place months and months after the New Deal was actually determined.
Well, there could have been an undertaking. I find year and timing very, very interesting. And the most divisive figure in Toronto politics, and he gets this with such a with such a huge margin, 17-6, just doesn't feel right to me.
That's actually
things that make you go,
But okay, so this was passed in 2024. Has the stadium been renamed the Rob Ford Stadium? I've never heard anyone mention it.
I don't know.
Let's Google it while we're talking. I've never heard anyone say, hey, I'll meet you down to see so-and-so play at the Rob Ford Stadium. I Google it. So I'll continue just quickly with this while you're checking that fact. So March 2024, the construction begins. July 2024, the province of Ontario injects $73 million. This is kind of cool for 24/7 work. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of work on the Gardiner to save you 1 year of time.
Sorry to interrupt, but the Central Park Stadium, formerly Central Park Stadium, was renamed Rob Ford in 2024. And this is from the City of Toronto website.
It was the Centennial Park Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
You said Central Park.
I meant Centennial.
I think I said Central Park earlier.
I think you did too. Anyways, now we know.
Where is this place? I literally have never heard
Eglinton
of it.
and...
Eglinton. There's probably a reason.
The 427.
Oh.
Kind of in around there.
Okay, that's a reason I would not know. I've never around that neck of the woods.
Looks like a nice stadium.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, so now we've got this 24/7 work on the Gardiner for an extra $73 million to save 1 year of time. This is interesting for two reasons. Shaving off a year of time means that we're almost ensuring, and again, air quotes, that this is going to get done, this section anyways, not the whole thing. This section is going to get done near Exhibition Place in the BMO field because guess what? In mid-2026, we, Toronto, are hosting the FIFA World Cup. We got to clean the city up. We got to put some effort into that. And I want to make a shout out to the councillor Brad Bradford, who is the one who championed the motion. And Brad Bradford, which is kind of a cool name actually, because you do
Sounds
remember,
like a hair salon to me.
yeah, Brad Bradford. Where do you get your highlights done, Kori? Oh, I go to Brad Bradford. So he is the councillor for Beaches East York, and he is actually also...
He's bald. I was like, I think he's bald though, so I don't know if that would work.
Maybe it would work better.
Maybe.
Right? It makes you stand out. So he's also somebody, it's just interesting because we talked about the tweets for the Eglinton LRT. This guy, Brad, is preparing for a second mayoral campaign in the 2026 election. And we said this on our last podcast. People, we have to get heavily involved in our 2026 mayoral race this year if we want change in this city. So please start paying attention to what's happening. It's going to come quicker than you think. And then the last sections are supposed to be finished between, oh my gosh, I'm seeing a theme, between 2026 and 2030. Guys, Toronto's going to be a new city by 2030.
2030 is the year.
So you can see here this really cool shot of the night work. So like any other place in the world where they're trying to get shit done quickly, their construction crews do work 24/7 all night long. And, whole buildings and train systems are done 10 times faster than they are done here. So I think this is awesome that this is being done. I'm going to give full props to everybody for being open-minded for the 24/7 work. Anything else you want to add to that before we move on to the money?
Let's move on. Let's go to the money. My favorite topic.
So the city initially thought the cost under the hybrid plan, which is like that red line that I showed you, would cost about $414 million to build, another $505 million to maintain over its lifetime, whatever that means, lifetime. And like eventually, guys, we're all going to be like in, self-driving cars and like, out in like little, I don't know, helicopters and stuff like the Jeffersons eventually. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon, but probably
not that soon.
Yeah, not that soon.
Yeah.
So in 2016, as the designs got clearer, the capital cost estimate jumped. It's shocking how that happens, to $718 million. And then around the same time, reports pegged the entire Gardiner rebuild program somewhere between 2.6 and 3.6 billion.
Billies.
Yeah. I think I mentioned the $73 million to add the night cruise. And right now, of course, the final price tag isn't yet nailed down. Between inflation and material costs and these political changes, it's a moving target for the final cost. But in short, what started at $414 million has now snowballed into a multi-billion dollar rebuild.
Are you surprised?
No. I mean, this kind of had to be done though.
Yes, it really did. And at least it's not hidden underground. At least we can actually tangibly see the progress made. And so maybe there's more eyes on something like this than a fictitious tunnel that isn't getting built. At least we can see the progress. And I think the disruption to traffic is pushing them to push this along a lot quicker than, say, the Metrolinx Boondoggle.
Yeah, and I think the FIFA World Cup is adding to that as well because we don't want to be an international laughingstock. We've got enough issues as it is. Right?
Oh, yeah. But they'll clean up the city for a week, just like in San Francisco when the premier president of China came to San Francisco and they cleaned it up for 4 days. And because we all want to impress the communist dictator leader. And then after they left, it just went back to the slum that San Francisco is.
Oh my God, I know.
It's a heartbreak.
It's awful. So let's just quickly go through, because the tweets are really funny on this one. So let's go through a couple of the tweets and then we'll wrap up with just what our possible part 2 could be on this particular segment.
There's some
here,
good ones here.
oh my God, there's some really good ones. I was laughing out loud too. There's a video here. We're just showing you the screenshot of it on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see our favorite mayor here. And she says, together with the province, I've managed to reduce the Gardiner's reconstruction timeline from 3 years to 18 months. Thank you to the dedicated crews for your incredible work in making this happen. I love that she says the word I, personally.
Yeah.
I know she didn't write that. There's a team doing that, but just so cringe. And then you look over here on the right with some of the responses. And this one on the bottom right's really hilarious, by Gil Penalosa. Is that good? Penaloso. Penalace. Partners, Ford Chow destroying Toronto's waterfront. The elevator Gardiner is a monstrosity. Costs 4 times more than the Boulevard with trees, sidewalks, bike lanes, space for parks, and 8,000 more homes. Highway will save 2 minutes to 3% of the commuters. Waste of taxes in worst project. Hashtag elections matter. And then there's this one. Oh my God, I can't. It's this next page here. So Mayor Olivia Chow, she's at a Salsa Ontario dance-off. And then somebody tweets, this is the first time I've ever seen Chow not dancing. And she's also cosplaying as a construction worker. So those are our 3 boondoggles for today. Ralph, as we've been talking, did you have any more ideas for future episodes?
I have one. Let's call it Boondoggles in the making.
Okay.
Boondoggles about to happen, and it could be great. And again, if there's anyone who wants to add down below in the comments section, but I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but Doug Ford wants to build the tunnel underneath the 401. 20 years from now, I think it could cost $1 trillion and will be $500 billion into it. So that is my boondoggle in the making.
I think that's a great one. And I'm going to do for boondoggle, it's probably somewhere in the making already, is Ontario Place.
Oh, the Therme disaster in the making. Yeah. All the stuff coming up about that one seems very, very, very sketchy.
So I'm going to add that to my list. Guys, if you're listening and you're still listening to this point, please add your ideas below. I found it really interesting to research this, actually. It was interesting to research and read about it. The tweets were freaking hilarious. There's like so many of them.
The cosplaying construction worker comment. That one made me really happy. I'll be carrying that one around for a while.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Now, I would also like to say that like there's no way in hell I would know how to pull off any of these infrastructure projects. So like it's very easy for me to point my fingers and be like, what is happening here? But like these people are paid massive amounts of money because they're considered to be experts in their fields that can manage this type of huge project and all the moving pieces and the budgets, which just seems to be a thing that no one seems to be paying attention to these days on many levels. So I'm going to forecast that 2030 is going to be a big year for Toronto. And I still have hope and faith that all of this is going to get cleaned up. Ralph, any last words?
Say no to the tunnel underneath the 401 by Doug Ford, Rob's older brother. Nothing good can come of this other than lawyers getting more wealthy, contractors getting more wealthy, consultants making a shit ton. I can only imagine how the CEO of that project is going to get paid. And there'll be no accountability and no one will get fired. And it'll just be an utter, complete disaster. Just say no. That's my advice.
And
I'm telling you, it'll be the first $1 trillion public works project in Toronto if that goes underway by the time it's completed.
Oh my gosh. It's not going to happen.
I better not. Anyways.
Well, I'm so grateful that everyone is able to hang in to the end.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, make those comments as we suggested. And if you have any more tips or tricks or insider knowledge on any of these projects, please add them down below. And if you've worked on any of these projects, I'd love to hear from you too. That's it for us. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Ralph. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.